And I'd like to continue on that. But first, let's check in. It is 8:31. Sean, are you here with us?
Yeah, awesome, Fernando. Good morning, everybody. Happy Thankful Thursday, and bringing truth and also having fun and magic and adventure and increasing on those things, which I'm sure we're having plenty of now. But obviously, we're all here for more. Some are here for more money. Some are here for more time. Some are here for more of the emotions, feelings, things that you want to experience. And some are here for portions of all three, probably most of us. So that's what it looks like. And Fernando, just checking in here for a moment. Do you want to share a little bit in the awesome module 5 that we have now completed, what we talked a little bit about in the weirdness factor of the world and the normal factor of the world, and what we're talking about when we say the word formula and how the meaning of language evolves.
Yeah, thank you, Sean, and I'll be very brief and pass it on to you. We just finished yesterday filming module 5, which is an overview on the indispensable elements. And we go through, as Sean mentioned, words. One of my questions was, why are they indispensable elements? Like, that's not normal language. And we also discussed how sometimes throwing around words like the formula, after a while can begin to go flat. People can create their own meaning to what that means. And we're here to disrupt that. Because we hear certain words, we have certain reactions and emotions, and we add meaning to them that may or may not be true, not right or wrong, simply, distortion. So it is important to constantly be shifting and disrupting the way we present not only Unblinded in the formula, ourselves, our product, our service. Language matters. And even though we were talking about only the indispensable elements, many amazing things happen. Like there's a flying box of Twinkies, and I won't say anything more on that. I'll let you see it in the module, but it was very, very interesting. So Sean.
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, great. Awesome. I don't know if I accidentally muted myself. So yeah, so if I say the word lawyer or attorney, that has a very different meaning today than it did 50 years ago. At one point in time, it was respected, revered, now because of the massive quantity of attorneys that exist out there, as well as some of the experiences that people have had that would be frustrating, upsetting, integrity breaching. There is a very different name and meaning. Same thing for, let's say, the word inspired or how about motivated or empowered. Words can lose as we use them over time, and we associate them not only culturally overall, but for each of us individually. So the opening content point for today is to really think about how things are landing for you, how they land overall, and how they land for the person you're communicating with, because communication influence is consistently about your idea, having it heard, accepted, and acted upon. So for it to be heard, accepted, and acted upon, we have to make sure we're speaking a common language. And for everybody, words have very different meanings. Happy means something different for everybody. Excited means something different for everybody. Empowered. The United States means something different for everyone. China means something different for everybody. Peace, war, confront, conflict, victory, competing, all of these words have different meanings. So in our level 5 listening, which of course includes listening to body language, breathing patterns, stopping, moving, all things will come to in the module, as well as what people are saying, not saying, the vocal qualities of how they're saying it, the physiology that's involved, the full gamut of all of those things. When we're listening carefully to people, we can begin to understand how things are and are not landing, plus our logical perceptions of things. Now, with that said, we also mentioned a couple of things about this earlier in the week, and it's being worked into the modules. We as people have a capacity on average, and then also, of course, individually. So there's like always the general and then how it applies to you. For some people, there's how they associate the average American or the average person in your country and the world in general has an average of how much they exercise. And then it's, of course, the average for you. So when I say things, I'm speaking to the collective, and you may be a unique outlier in different ways and how you do whatever it is we're talking about. So, of course, we have to speak generally at times, understanding and appreciating your individualized uniqueness as well. So for all of us, we have a threshold and a capacity and an approach to how we learn, how much time we'll invest, how things will land on us, what we're willing to do and not do. And one of the things that we're working on is disrupting that pattern of learning. The amount of time we'll spend studying, refreshing, repeating, implementing, how much capacity we have for when we begin to feel frustrated. If something feels like it's not working wonderfully, we all show up differently in that space. And it's critical for all of us. We'll talk more about this later in our self-mastery modules in much more depth, our approach to growth mindset versus fixed mindset, as well as our persistence in our approach to learning. We are looking to expand those things massively for each and every one of you, because our expansion of our persistence, our openness to struggling, being challenged, feeling uncomfortable, our expansion in those areas equals our acceleration ultimately. Much of learning, there was an amazing thing I was just reading, going through last night actually, in Outliers. I've been pouring a lot of the studies from that book, as I've been mentioning all week, and it was discussing the very practical reality that for people, for test taking, there's this remarkable thing about math test taking. They did a study in California, the California Achievement Test for students. And before the students were taking the test, there was a lengthy questionnaire, personal questionnaire, about their life, their friends, their socialization, like up front. It was long, and it was like 120 questions. And this is a drop the mic, incredible testament about unblinding people, how the world works that's different than how we think. And the length and the amount of the amount of questions that people answered in this social, more general, but very thorough questionnaire of like 120 questions. Literally, there was a direct correlation between the amount of those questions that people will answer and how well they did in the math section of the test. Because math is something that we have to learn and struggle through over time. And so the persistence of people to just get through questions literally wasn't kind of correlated. It was directly correlated to how well people would do in math, meaning you could predict how well people would do in math based upon their persistence to answer questions in a completely unrelated area, because all we were testing for was the persistence of people. Said differently, your self-mastery, because learning the formula is a persistence question. So your self-mastery in this whole process and your persistence of learning will literally dictate how well you master the formula, and how well you master the formula is going to dictate your money, time, and magic. So just understand how empowered you are and how responsible you are. It's exciting. What an opportunity you have. So it's not going to be based upon innate abilities. It's just not. How you relate to people, how you engage in your process mastery, how you improve in your videos, your public speaking, you're going from hello to yes with ecosystem merging and frictionlessness, as well as your ability to go from hello to yes in your sales meetings. All of those things are going to be developed over time. And each and every one of you has an incredible opportunity on this Thankful Thursday to be thankful for how much you can own those outcomes over time. And for many people, we make up lies. So if we're not good at math, we might say, it's just not me. And that is actually objectively untrue. What actually happens is how you were raised, how you were conditioned to want to study and not study. And if you're ready for this mind-blowing moment, so how you were raised for studying and not studying, how you were raised in your persistence, how like your conditioning, when I say raised, meaning your conditioning evolved. One final mind-blowing dynamic there's a lot of concepts that school systems are different, and the way that that economics has an impact on how students learn in different school systems. And there's a study that was done that substantially debunked that theory as follows. They had tracking of students in standardized testing. And as students went through their standardized testing, they looked at what happened during the school year. And they found that generally there was relative equality in lower economics, mid economics, and high economics in public school systems and learning. The great differentiator was what students did over the summer, because they had the students taking it at the beginning and end of the school year, and then also students taking the test at the beginning of the next school year. So they could test where they went from the beginning and end of a school year, meaning they were learning during school time, and then they could also test how they did in terms of their learning over the summer. And in higher economic environments, students went up substantially over the summer, and in lower economic environments, students did not. And the conclusions were that there was just a different conditioned approach to learning and reading and developing over summer, and that's what varied economically. So my point isn't to get into the depth of the conclusions around those studies. My point is very simply that things, the innateness of things, the who we are and the fictions we create are very real. And I want to leave you, impart you on this Thankful Thursday with the incredible gift and gratitude for how empowered, capable, and able you are, how responsible you are, how much is within your grasp to master this formula and accelerate. And for those that are accelerating faster, I would submit that those are folks that are applying this and repeating it more frequently. They're practicing more. They're in it more. For example, what's happened for Adam, Jared, Ben Fox, being in their proximity and worked on this consistently is shocking and startling. It's remarkable. Fernando has had 307, and we've said this a couple of times, but I mean, just let this land, 307 coaching sales meetings over the course of the last month. And his evolution and how we related to people went from hello to yes, let's say 6 months ago, as somebody who certainly took a lot of personal development courses, had a general approach to people. His mastery has arisen so dramatically, and it's still rising. He's still a student. He's still learning. And it's increasing so dramatically because of the repetitions. So I'm challenging you to go have 307 conversations in the next 30 days where you can go from hello to yes to people. Schedule that equals more than 8 a day during the 5 days a week. 8 a day for 5 days a week is 40 per week, which would be 160 a month. So we're talking double those numbers. Be outrageous. Immerse yourself at the deepest level and have fun with it. Connect deeper with people. Apply it. Don't let this be intellectual. Let this be something you're using like crazy. I had the blessing and privilege of sitting in the warm spring at Tony Robbins' house on the night of, the night of, I guess that would be the final night, so the night of February 14th of that Thursday night at his house. And we had a conversation. And during that conversation, and I don't think I'm revealing anything confidential at all, and I certainly wouldn't, I asked him, I said, when Tony, when you were developing early on and you became so masterful in the space of NLP, and other people in those same programs have been in them for months and years, and they weren't accelerating as much, what do you attribute it to? He said it was simple. He goes, I just took massive action. When people go to lunch, I rewrote my notes. I looked at everything I studied. I applied everything I was learning immediately and massively. And other people were more just thinking about it. And I was taking massive and incredible action. And then I asked him, he gave certainly a more lengthy answer than that, but that came out clearly. And I said, well, and and people began to be upset with you or frustrated with you and say, well, I'm a therapist, you're not. Like, who are you? He goes, yeah. He goes, and in those days, my edges were much less rounded. And my idea was, if you attack me, I'm going to attack you back 10 times harder. He goes, and, I wasn't always the nicest and easiest person in those days. I certainly wanted everybody to win, but if people were going to come at me, I was going to come at them hard. And so I share both of those pieces to remind you that some of the most incredible peak performing people in the world, whether that come directly from Tony Robbins or in reading the book Outliers, talking about the Beatles and how people are like, oh, they're just so naturally talented. Well, no, they really weren't. They had talent for sure, but talent they developed, talent they built in mastery, and they had this ridiculous period of time where they played like 200 shows in 1 year. And there's a before and after version for the people that are close to them that talk about their talent base. There's looking at, we mentioned Bobby Fischer and his chess playing. Well, he's a prodigy. Well, yes, he was intelligent, and he played a ridiculous and insane amount of chess over a period of years at a very young age. Massive immersion, massive distinctions. Hockey players, baseball players, top salespeople, top negotiators, everyone, it's by massive immersive repetition. So my point for today is, whether it be Tony Robbins, Bobby Fischer, a Major League Baseball player that would be a hero, Bruce Springsteen. If you read his book, Born to Run, he talks about when he was 10 years in and feeling like things weren't really working. He's like, well, I had 4 clean aces. And he talks about the 4 clean aces he had being the benefits he had. And one of those aces he lists is he had 10 years of playing in bar bands in bars in New Jersey, hard and continuous. And there's such a persistent, if you hear from people about Bruce Springsteen, they'll talk about his massive commitment to his craft and mastery. And lots of rock stars, and I bring him up because many people would say he is the greatest or one of the greatest live acts in the history of rock. And people also say, I don't know that Bruce Springsteen has like the greatest voice in the world. Well, yeah, whatever, because his massive commitment to connecting and emotional, energetic transference, and quite frankly, the formula led to his success, his storytelling in his songs, his storytelling, not in his songs when he's in concert, his ability to engage the crowd and audience, to build this massive movement, committed, loyal following that still exists to this day at 70 years old. When he goes on tour this summer, he will sell out stadiums, at least in certain cities and areas, and he will sell out arenas all over the world. And that's because of his massive commitment to his craft by putting in insane amounts of time and hours. And anybody that you hear talk about Bruce Springsteen will talk about that, including the fact that in his career on the road with the band, he didn't go to concerts and hang out and party. He got rest. He was in the gym. He reviewed tape. He reviewed audio, and he would create distinctions. And he was an insanely committed master of learning and development to become the highest level of true master of his craft. So this Thankful Thursday, I just want to truly bring that forward to you. So the work that we're doing here together isn't lost. We are here to feel good. We're here to start our day. And we're here to build a culture, an energy, a team, like whether you want to be a part of a rock band, whether you associate better being part of a sports team. It's the normalization of commitment to mastery. Whether we're part of a play, like whatever it is that resonates with you, make that what this collective is, a family, whatever it is. It's all of those things. Associate to it whatever makes the most sense for you. What it's not is a passive group of people hanging out, chilling, and socializing. Like, we could be that sometimes, and we are that too, but don't let that be the lead thing. We're certainly here to have fun, to care about each other, right? To have a collective energy and commitment of empathy. We have that. Like, that's here, that connection, but that's not like, let that, it can be whatever you want, it's choice, but I'm challenging you to not let it be that first. Let it be a team, peak performance, let it be competitive. Like, wow, what would it look like if you associated in a loving way to how I was blessed to have coaches teach me to compete in high school? And the competition was we rooted for, we wanted nobody to be held down. We rooted for everybody, but we were inspired by the people that worked the hardest, were in the gym the earliest, that lifted the weights the most, that were the most intense and ferocious. Like, don't look at somebody and go, oh, like, who do they think they are? And when somebody would say, like, because that was said to me, like, well, who do you think you are? Like, going back in time when I was first building the law firm, when I was speaking, some people said that to me, and I developed an answer, and my answer I offer to you. My answer was, I think I'm the person that you should think that you are. I think I'm the person that you should think that you are, meaning associating to your worthiness, that you belong, that it is your right, that it's right there for you, your right to succeed, your right to have the life you want. And the way you exercise that right is by massive commitment to mastery, repetition, consistency, persistence, having fun doing it, shifting whatever your conditioning is so that acceleration and growth equals fun, excitement, passion, magic. That's when you're winning. So questions, thoughts, or comments? I know that was a lot, but the bottom line message is apply it and engage in massive action, just like Tony Robbins said that he did, which is how he became such a genius at influence and NLP and mastering his own self. So questions, thoughts, comments?
I have a question, Sean. It's Gina.
Hey,
Can you
Gina.
hear me? Hey, how
Yeah.
are you? We did role play on Thursday night, and
Yes. How are you, Gina?
I'm great, thanks. How are you? I'm great. That was amazing. First, let me just say everything you just said. Thank you, and everything you do, thank you, because
Well,
it's
you're
so
welcome, and thank you for the beautiful acknowledgement. Thank you, Gina. So what's cooking?
So I'm dealing with my now former husband who has very big narcissistic tendencies, and I have to go back to my lawyer today and all this stuff. And so what I'm trying to, it's hard to manage somebody like that, right? How do you, or not manage, I can't manage them, but using the formula in this case, in a situation where you're dealing with somebody who just kind of always wants to hurt you, even though you're married for 24 years and you lost a child together and all this stuff, like, how do I use the formula there? Like, when somebody is angry and hurt and in pain because of all that they went through in their own life, but they're taking it out on you. So how do you handle it there? And maybe this is something that we can do, that you can talk on a module or something. I'm not sure, but I know we don't have a lot of time.
And so, by the way, really quickly, there certainly will be a module talking about this, and this is about boundaries, and it's about self-mastery. And so
Right.
it's much less about influence mastery, because we get to a point where we realize that our influence mastery or our integrity is not going to work in situations. And I have people like this in my life right now, and I'm dealing with a situation that's immensely could be immensely upsetting and painful for me, and it really was. And it's shocking, it's unbelievable, it's enraging, it's a lot of things. It's not the same. I'm not comparing, because you were married to somebody, you lost a child together, so I'm not comparing that directly. I am saying that we're all going to have people, though, over time, that at different levels, and your level is intensely high, but at different levels that are going to impact us this way. So a quick one for you and for everybody, okay? Mm-hmm. So the meaning we attach to it. And so I get it. I'm hearing loud and clear that you're saying how, like, this person's amazing. We're married for 24 years. We lost a child together. We had these things. So what I'm hearing from you, Gina, is a beautiful rule structure. Like, I would never do that. How could a person do this? Like, you layer these things on, and they're so massively painful. How could this person be doing this to me after all and this is something I might say, after all I gave to them, after all I said, how could they be so disgusting and selfish and horrible? Like, I saved this person's life. I did this, that, like right down the line. And I'm like, so first, that rule structure that we're creating doesn't help. Because what we may also be doing is like, well, if they do this, then I'm going to be upset. If they do one more thing to try to hurt me, if they want to hurt me, then I'm going to be upset. So two things. One is how we are associating to what's happening, the language we're using. And second, the if-thens are not helpful. So those are two quick basics. A little bit more deeper and more challenging, but massively helpful, is literally to use technology that's rooted in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. So when you envision the situation, you're going to make a picture, you're going to hear sounds, and you conditioning yourself to begin to shrink and change your conditioning, shrink the person, shrink the sounds, create funny distortions of how that person is showing up and what it looks like, your ex-husband. It sounds difficult, and it's a conditioned pattern. It doesn't happen in a minute, and it comes from a place of you being deeply associated to it, like really deeply associated to that conditioning. It works. I did it with judges. In the beginning of my career, I was intimidated by old white male judges, like gray-haired white male judges equaled like founding fatherness to me, source of authority, intimidation. I was less than, they're not going to listen to me. And these techniques deployed. My first breakthrough in realizing how powerful this was all the way back in 1998. And I couldn't believe how rapidly it changed. In addition, changing your physiology. So what you're conditioning, what you're doing is you're literally changing your conditioning to what he means, who he is, making him smaller, quieter, sillier, funnier, how you're associating to an action that yesterday you would have said was trying to hurt you, now seeing as a gift potentially of growth. All of those things are not easy, right? They're not easy and they take time, but it's committing to that pattern. And the more we're in a space of, hey, like what could I do to influence him? Like disrupt that pattern and stop and say nothing, because this person's on their own journey. And my boundary is how I'm going to associate to this person. And the game, Gina, the game, and make it a game for each and every one of us, is to remove that person from our life completely. Meaning, well, I got to interact with them. Remove them as much as possible and make the interactions as much about you and only you, not their reactions, not what's going to happen. And if you have to go back and forth in legal battles in some way, make them legal games and make them fun and in the search for truth, and let them be how you develop your influence mastery with your own attorney and your attorney with the court, teach your attorney, like make it a game and process, because you're going to engage in it anyway, potentially, and how you associate to it, his reactions, what your attorney says, because you're conditioned to all those things. Like when you get a phone call from your attorney or an email from your ex-husband, I don't know what the communication pattern is, but whatever the receipts of the next thing that would have hurt you yesterday, if you can associate to it and make it something like, okay, cool, I got another gift, I got another growth opportunity, but it's actually real and it's minimizing the intensity of the feeling. Is that supportive? And we'll do an entire module on that, but that's a quick 2-3 minute version.
Oh, amazing. Okay. Yes. Thank you. That was amazing. Thank you.
Hey, Sean, this is Mike. Can I jump in as well?
Yeah, 30 seconds though. We're going to take Mike and one more, and then we're going to take it home with Jared. So Mike, 30 seconds. Somebody else behind that who wants to go for 30 seconds, go.
So Gina, Sean taught me these exact same techniques, and they are rare outside in the
Michael
universe.
Smikin, attorney at Calgary, law partner. He's been learning from me for 11 years and continues to, and he is a massively accelerated student in the formula. Go, Mike.
Perfect, thank you. So exactly what Sean described in terms of how he dealt with his judges is something that I had to do for myself to deal with my own anxiety and fear and things of that nature. And I did exactly those techniques, and it completely revolutionized the way I communicate with people. The truth of it is that everything is about how you how you interact and the meaning that you take from these types of situations. And a lot of it has to do with you changing your perspective on things by asking questions like, if they were the hero of the story and I was the villain of the story, what could I have done better? What can I do differently? How can I take less and internalize less of the stress that comes from this situation? And a lot of it gives you like a different perspective, an elevated perspective about how to attack these types of situations. I use them every single day when I'm litigating cases to allow myself to interact with a person, a thing, a situation completely differently. And it meant all the difference in the world. So it may sound kind of ridiculous from the beginning, and that's the way I looked at it. And then when you see it deployed and how powerful it actually is, it's revolutionizing. It changes your life.
Wow.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome, Gina. Okay. Do we have one more person that has a question, a win, a share? 30 seconds.
Sean, it's Nick Champagne.
Nick Champagne is in the house. What's up, brother? Hey, and on that thing, I don't know if you know, we got a response, and we'll talk about it a little bit from, you know, from the source of all things. So I'll tell you more about that.
Is it a good one? Just say good one, yes.
I think it is a positive, yes, for sure.
Awesome. We'll talk more about that later. Amazing. We'll share that one tomorrow. So one, I want to say that your answer to the question, "Who do you think you are?" is brilliant, because I'm sure everyone gets that, especially people that are in like a public environment or a public figure or whatever the case may be. But like sometimes I think that about myself, for the things that I pull off, for the things that I do, for where I came from, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a great answer. Like anyone can do anything, and, you know, don't hold yourself back. So that's another thing. Great job with that. So the other thing is just to acknowledge, I think a lot of people here know Billy Fowler, who is actually across from me in the gym right now. But so Billy's been working with me and helping me with strategy for my company and taking things to the next level. So you guys will hear a lot more about that, especially you, Sean. We've been talking about doing some things together for over a year now, and the time has come. So I'll fill you in on some of that stuff very shortly.
Awesome. And listen, Nick, the things you pull off, Nick has an incredible base of clients, connections, and contacts that's remarkable. And Nick was on stage in that Zeus Energy breakthrough moment. Nick is truly somebody that's got an unbelievable ecosystem. And I think he is so giving and so caring, as many of you are on this line, that sometimes he doesn't maximize the value for himself. And Billy Fowler was a UPenn football player. I think he was at UPenn when I was at Columbia, and brilliant guy. And he and Nick are working on some stuff, and I'm excited to hear about it. And yeah, like I hope that they go and kick some serious butt and inspire and challenge everybody. Because as they grow, you grow. As you grow, I grow. As I grow, you grow. And that's how it works here. So Nick, thank you, brother.
Thank you for that. Let's talk in the next hour, Sean, if you're available.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Thanks.
Yep. Okay. So, Jared, what's up? You know what? One quick shout out, Adam Gugino. Adam's voice is not heard consistently here. His impact is unbelievable. His commitment to learning and mastering the formula is mind-boggling. He and Fernando are two straight-up lunatics, as is Jared. Like, the three of them are lunatics in how they are competing, accelerating, having fun, but just so committed to not only their own growth and development, the growth and development of everybody they encounter in the formula. So Adam, thank you. It's inspirational how your process mastery and self-mastery work, and your commitment to developing your influence mastery. Just drop the mic. So thanks to Adam Gugino. And Jared, what's up, brother?
Hello, everybody. Yes, I echo that. Everyone in the Nerve Center is just, the commitment is, you could feel it when you walk in there. It's exceptional. The energy is just filled with fun and transformation. We talked about it today, which is when we show up for calls, we have the deepest level of conviction. Once we know that someone's better with us than without us, the deepest level of conviction that we're only in service of that person when they say yes. So when you come from that place, that really is self-mastery. You have to get yes. Like, you have to for yourself, because you spent an hour on the phone with somebody, and an hour is a ton of time, and it was an hour of their time. So this is the kind of stuff we talk about prior to this call, so that we're all prepared and ready to go. Because like Sean has shared, Fernando had 307 calls in 30 days. I'm sure Adam had close to that number as well. Ben had a couple hundred calls in that time frame. So there's a lot of phone calls being made, and every time we show up, we show with that deep level of conviction. I want to acknowledge Jay Levine. This is something that everyone has the opportunity to do. He's just the first one to step into it, and he's hosting an unblinded real estate event for North New Jersey realtors. If you want to check it out, just so you can kind of see what this looks like, and then we'd be eager to talk with you if you want to create an opportunity like this as well. It's unblindedrealestate.com. So if you are in the real estate industry and you're in North New Jersey, you're welcome to come to this event. You can register right there. And if you're not, it's okay. We can set up an event like this with you. And there'll be about 75 real estate professionals coming to this event. It is next week or 2 weeks. You'll see all the information there. It's unblindedrealestate.com. Jay Levine, amazing job. This is the ultimate ecosystem merger. We're all very excited about it. It's going to make some big differences for Jay and for his network of real estate professionals and for Unblinded and for each individual person that's present. So take a look, unblindedrealestate.com. Also, make sure that you register to join us for Tony Robbins' birthday. All of the information has been sent via email. It's also inside of the mastery program as well. And make sure that you register for March 1st from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. for an ecosystem merger event and a public speaking boot camp with Sean, where he teaches public speaking through the domain of influence mastery. I can't wait to be a student in that. It's going to be absolutely magical. Back to you, Sean.
Yeah. And hey, the reason you're not hearing us talk about Beck and Siri anymore for that Sunday night is because that's sold out. So I'm so happy for Beck and Siri. I'm so happy for the incredible job that they've done and for everybody's commitment. So that is a complete sellout, number one. Number two, I am confident we only have space for 160 in that Sunday morning event out there, and I'm confident we're going to fill that for sure. So get yourself registered for that, and absolutely unquestionably register and come out for Tony Robbins' birthday. That whole weekend is going to be magical and incredible, and just what a beautiful opportunity to first, for human beings, to be a part of freeing human beings from sex trafficking. I mean, like, what more can you possibly say than that? Second, to honor the greatest speaker in the history of personal development and breakthrough artist, normalized it, expanded it, Tony Robbins, just remarkable and incredible. And third, to have that opportunity next morning for us to ecosystem merge, to build things, to be in that environment live together, and yeah, to create breakthroughs in public speaking. I haven't done a program directly about public speaking in 15 years. So I am excited to bring back all the things, well, other than internally for Cal U Law. I haven't done this in a long time, and it's something I live in. And one of my greatest core expertises is that space. And it's going to be tight and ready, and we're going to crush it. So get yourself registered, get yourself going. It is Thankful Thursday. I am grateful for you. I'm grateful for you being here. What is it that you're grateful for? And how can you connect to it deeply right now? Thank you. Love everybody. Let's go crush it. Happy Thankful Thursday.